Hi, it's the Great Vanzini. I'm going to do a quick show and tell of a Godin. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I had a friend from Canada, from downtown Canada, wherever these are made, the French area of Canada, and Montreal, or are they in Toronto? Godin, anyway. And I asked her, how do you pronounce it? And she said, Godin, or something close to that. And so Godin was about as close as I could come. If you saw my last video of the Washburn HB15, you're looking at an almost identical guitar. It's a 16-inch bout. It's about, I think the Washburn measured at like 2 7/8, and this is measuring right at about 3. And it's got the trapeze tailpiece. It's got the wooden, I don't know what that is, rosewood bridge, I think, I'm not sure. And scale length wise, it's just about the same. Fine time not to bring my glasses. Well, I'll just have to get by. It's a molded arch top and back. Molded is a fancy way of saying it's kind of pressed. So I saw one other guitar years ago that was a solid top that they used very thin wood and they pressed it into an arch top shape as opposed to a carved arch top. I think this is all laminates. It doesn't say whether it's laminates or not. I'm sure the back and sides are all laminates, just like the Washburn. It's got a very light, they call it a semi-gloss finish, I think. Let me look. Again, excuse me for my squeaky chair. I sprayed it, but apparently in the wrong place. Yeah, semi-gloss. I would call it a semi-matte. It's got a little bit of gloss to it. It's really more matte. like. And it's a nice guitar. It comes with 12 gauge round wound strings, not flats like you'd like in jazz, so you can do a lot of that stuff, and you hear that squeaking up and down the neck when you play. So I'm going to swap the strings out. I don't like swapping strings out. I'm cheap. Whatever strings comes on the guitar, I play them till they're about dead. Then I swap them out to the strings. This one, though, I'm going to have to swap pretty quick here, because the strings are still just fine and pretty new, but I got to have flat wounds, and these come with like 12 to 52 gauge round wound, and I don't, even with the G string is wound, and I'm just not real fond of them. It plays nice. It plays very nice. It sounds nice. I'm going to have trouble showing you how it sounds. It's got a P90 in it, as opposed to the Washburn had a floating pickup. And I love the sound of this P90, it's great. But you know, that Washburn, I'm not a big fan of floating pickups. But on that Washburn, it has the best sounding floating pickup I've had that matches that guitar, I guess. I don't know. But this sounds good too. I think in 50 years, the Washburn will still be standing. This one I'm not so sure about. If I press in on the wood around the sound hole here, I can actually just roughly pushing it a little bit, I can bend that wood. And that reminds me of my oldest brother's first guitar was like a 1958 or 59 Harmony guitar that looked just like this. No pickup, but it looked just about like this. And it too had that same type of wood that was bendable wood. And I remember seeing a lot of those guitars years later. There's a few of them still around that are in pretty good shape, but a lot of them, that wood just started to buckle and collapse over the years. So this will last me, my lifetime. Whether it will last the next person, their lifetime, is another question. So that Washburn is totally dipped in Varathane, where this Godin is not. And I say Varathane, I don't know what it's shellacked in, but I think that gives a lot of rigidity to the wood. I couldn't press the sound hole on the Washburn and get it to bend, I don't think. It just makes it much more rigid. Supposedly it affects the tone, according to some. I say yes, maybe if you're playing it acoustically, once you plug in, all bets are off. It might affect the tone a little bit, but it's pretty negligible. This is a nice player, though. It feels good. The fretwork's actually quite good on this, as it was on the Washburn. Now, the difference is this with the bag that you had to pay extra for, which is not a hard shell case. It's a, I don't know what they call that. It's not a gig bag. It's like a foam case that's very heavy duty, but not a hard shell case. And it feels like I could drop it from a 5-story building and it would do okay. It wouldn't, but it feels that way. Whereas the Washburn came with a free gig bag that was kind of, as I mentioned in the last video, was sort of it was reasonably heavy duty, but not real heavy duty. And it wasn't real paper thin. It was kind of an in-between gig bag. So this comes with more than a gig bag. It doesn't come with it. It's extra, 130 bucks I think it was. So when you add that up and the cost of this new here in 2020, you're looking at about $800 on the new market. So I would not buy it new. I would buy it used and feel good about it. If you can find one like new, then you're in business. The Washburn plays just as good. It sounds just about as good. And here I am advocating for the Washburn at about half the cost. That was, I forgot what I said, $365, $385 with the gig bag. And this comes out to about, this is about new $700. And so you're looking at $830, $40 for this guitar with their heavy duty foam bag. I think what I saw when I bought it, yeah, case not included. pretty sure. Anyway, this one sounds great. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick it up. This thing booms, and it booms not only from the guitar, but it booms when I crank the amp up. And I got kind of the wrong... Anyway, it sounds pretty good. I got a little reverb in there. Let me see if I can get rid of that. There we go. You still hear some sound. I don't have the hum debugger. If I had the Electro Harmonics hum debugger, that noise, let's see if I can make that noise. You hear that noise in there. Not that I'm playing that loud, but I crank it up, it really booms. The Washburn doesn't. The Washburn has it's not compression, but it's like compression. It has a much more even tone from the bass notes to the treble notes. That's easy. You can EQ it in the amp or with an EQ pedal. So let's see what I can tell you about it. It's semi-gloss. I say it's semi-matte. They call it a cognac burst, and it's a 16-inch radius. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that because until I get into more electric rock and roll guitars for some reason. Graph Tech nut width is 1.72. The scale length on this is 24.8 because they did it in millimeters in metric, and so it comes out to 24.84 inches with 22 frets versus the Washburn had 20. No, this has 21 frets. The Washburn had 20 frets on a 24 3/4, so not much difference there. Machine head ratios 18:1 on the bass side and 26:1 on the treble side. I didn't know that. I thought they were all. I thought all the tuners were basically the same ratios, but. Wow, that is hard. I guess they put round rounds on it maybe because they thought people might buy this and use it more like a Hank Williams guitar. It would work for that. I just think it wants to be more of a jazzer, and therefore it really demands flat wound strings. And for me and my old crippled hands, that's 11 gauge flats. So that's probably what's going to go on it. We'll see what that does to the tone. I think I'm going to have to use some sort of an inexpensive little EQ pedal with it, just to kind of, I've got one other like that where if I get the bass notes leveled out, then the high notes are too trebly. If I get the treble notes tamped down, then the bass notes boom. So this is a little similar to that. Anyway, it plays nice, it feels nice, it sounds nice. I think once I kind of dial it in, get it all dialed in, and I've just not spent that much. I've had it for a while now, and I just haven't dialed it in to really try to get all the great tone out of it. I love this P90 though. It'll do. Of course, I got the wrong amp sim. You you're doing stuff like that, you want to watch. I don't think it has a pin bridge. You could hit that bridge real easy and give it a move, give it a shove. So anyway, that's the Godin 5th Avenue KingPin. Not the KingPin 2. The KingPin 2, I think, is the one with the cutaway. So you can get up high. And of course, with these no cutaways, you can only get up, you can almost get up to the high A. It's a little uncomfortable for me, but you can get up there. So it's got one tone control. Do some volume here. That's too much. It's rattling and that's with the tone rolled all the way out back. Rolled all the way forward. Sounds better. Anyway, I think once I get new strings on it, it'll be just fine. So I should have done that a few months ago. So anyway, that's all for me. Let's find something to play out to. Feel free to give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Leave me a comment. If you've got any questions about this guitar or any of the other ones that I've shown, please feel free to ask a question. I will try to answer it. I will look it up. I will try to figure out what the answer is, and I'll try to get back to you. So I think most of the information on this one is available at Sweetwater or any of the sites. So we'll talk to you later. Y'all stay safe out there. Bye-bye.